rejoice and come in, and to rejoice and come in. Today will be a joyful day, and to rejoice and come in.
Very nice. Thank you, buff musicians. Good morning, friends. I want to extend a warm welcome to you today. Everyone is welcome here, and happy Mother's Day to all you mothers and to all you folks who have a mother or have had a mother. Happy Mother's Day. This community is a safe place where we support each other in the sacred task of becoming, celebrate the transcending mystery of life, and rely on the transforming power of love. Today and every Sunday in May our theme is Peace for All. Our dual focus for this service is Mother's Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. Please stick around after the service for Circle Talk. Hearing from you is the most important part of the service. Right now, Beth Fleur, our very able board president, will share her ideas about why we need to support Buff. Beth, you have the floor.
Thanks, Jim. You actually stole my opening, or else I stole it from you without realizing it. I was gonna say happy Mother's Day to all the moms and to everyone who has a mom. Excuse me. So I'm speaking to you all today for a few brief minutes, and then I am enjoying the rest of the service, and then I'm taking a much needed day off, as I hope all mothers are today. While it's never easy to be a mom or a parent of any variety, the past 14 months have presented us with new challenges. Pandemic parenting, no matter what your situation, is a whole other story from what we did before. There have been new stresses and worries on top of the usual: health, finances, emotional well-being. I've homeschooled my kids, which was just about the one thing I swore I would never do when I became a parent. I can count on one hand the number of times I've been alone in my house over the past 14 months, which as an introvert is a big struggle. There's a line from The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien that I've heard over and over again in my head the past year. Bilbo describes himself as feeling thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread. I think that everyone listening here, not just moms, can relate to that feeling. So maybe it seems odd to give a talk on generosity by starting by talking about being stretched too thin. How do you give generously when there's not enough? I began my time as board president last year wondering the same thing. I had committed to being president for the 20 to 21 year, but that was before the pandemic hit. Could I really still find the time and energy to work for Buff with all the other things going on in my life? I wasn't sure, but I knew that I did want to try. I knew that no one would hold it against me if I withdrew, but I really wanted to stick with it. I also knew that working with Buff is a team effort. And when and where I was lacking, others would step up, and they did. I am so thankful to the board and employees and committee leaders of Buff this past year. And because of them, I do not regret my choice. Though Buff added time to my already busy schedule, it gave so much back to me as well. It gave me human interaction I may not have had otherwise. It gave me something larger to focus on besides the needs of my immediate household. It gave me insight, knowledge, and experience. So even for those feeling stretched too thin, I encourage you to give your time and effort and financial support to Buff and our causes, because every dollar really is well and carefully used to help our employees, our partners, and our fellowship assets. And also because I really feel you will feel it repaid. And when you don't have anything to give, let Buff help you out. Attend a Sunday service where you can just watch. Go to a mindfulness meeting and relax. Ask a fellow buffer for a walk or a coffee date. Ask for financial assistance from our caring fund for unexpected repairs or other needs. Our affirmation ends with the best phrase: we affirm to help one another. And that is truly at the heart of giving generously to Buff. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth, and amen. That was very, very nice talk for us. Let's go now to our announcements, which you already know are printed at the end of your bulletin. Are there any additions or corrections to our announcements at this time? If not, let's start with our opening hymn, The Earth is Our Mother.
I think Lisa has one.
Oh, okay. Lisa, I'm sorry, I did not see you.
Thank you. Took me a second to, okay, thank you. This past Thursday, I hosted the first of two racial justice book discussions on the book called Our Side of the River, The Real Deal, written by students of Benton Harbor Middle School and High School. It's a small volume, real narrow, see, small, and available locally at Forever Books, and then also available on Amazon. The discussion last Thursday was incredibly rich. Unfortunately, no one besides myself from Buff attended, but we had three members of the community, three very, very active and devoted members of the community who are dedicated to improving the situation of young people in Benton Harbor. I hope that some buffers will join us for this Thursday's discussion, May 13th at 7 o'clock via Zoom. The link will be in the weekly Buff Announce. And you don't need to have read the book, all of the book, any of the book, to join the discussion. Two of the folks who attended last week's meeting had not yet read the book, though they had heard some of the students read their poems. And yet it was a very rich and fruitful discussion. So I invite you to please join this Thursday, 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for doing that important work in our community.
Lisa, real quick, can I just ask, where do you get that book?
It's available at Forever Books and also on Amazon, and it's called Our Side of the River, Our Side of the River, The Real Deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Others?
It's excellent.
Are there other announcements that need to be added or modified? If not, let's go to our first hymn.
The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. Hey Anna ho Anna, hey An Yan, hey Anna ho Anna, hey An Yan. Her sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Her sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Hey Anna
Excellent. Thank you very much, Buff Musicians, for selecting that lovely Indigenous people's song. And now one of our nature mystics, Diane Gibbons, will light our chalice.
Good morning, everyone. We light this chalice in honor and in reverence of Mother Earth and all mothers, past and present. For the mothers are hidden in the land. Perhaps it would be better to say they are hiding in the land, keeping it fertile, bringing forth life. As we live and walk upon the earth today, we might recall that the land is the body of the goddess, the great mother that will ever nurture us. If we let the light shine through our daily concerns, if we nurture that way of seeing, that visionary approach to life, we will glimpse the mother and understand in some strange and mysterious way, we will still live within their sacred bodies. We have never really left.
Amen, and thank you, Diane, for that lovely lighting. And now, when it appears on the screen, let us read in unison our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. And now we have Ellen Higdon and Keely Adams giving us some reasons to be generous with Buff. And we'll start with Ellen.
Okay, this is an original poem. It's called Give Till It's Done, a Dr. Seuss tribute. One of the things that I'm sure that I know is there's so many ways to spend all our dough. There's food and clothes and homes and cars. There's fancy restaurants and bars. There's gifts and toys for girls and boys, and so many things that give us great joys. We love to see far-off exotic locations, TV and movies for at-home staycations. It's easy to see how much money we lack, but in spite of that lack, it's good to give back. Buff gives us all peace, joy, and inspiration. We get love from each other and socialization. We learn, we explore, we look in, we look deep. Together we listen, we break bread, we weep. We're all on the journey we call human life. Together we weather the trials, joys, and strife. Without our dear Buff, we'd feel much more alone. Without it, would we have a spiritual home? We all want to be good, for we know that we should, but how do we do it? We would if we could. Well, folks, here's the way, and it's easy to say. You can make a big pledge, give as much as you can. Just fill out the form, then fulfill out your plan. Once that's done, you'll feel right. Once you give all you can, you'll feel really proud of that pledge in your hand. Once your pledge has been made, you will do right by Buff. If we all make a pledge, then there should be enough.
Thank you for that very creative poem, Ellen. And Keely.
Hi. So once upon a time, Jim told me that I was a good extemporaneous speaker, and I had to look up what that meant. But I agree. So in that general tradition of lack of preparation, I just had some stuff I wanted to share. So I grew up in Oklahoma. As you guys know, I moved to Michigan, most of you. And Oklahoma is a very conservative state. I grew up with my family dragging me to like tons of different churches, Presbyterian, like I think I was baptized Presbyterian or Methodist and confirmed Presbyterian. I've been to Baptist churches. My extended family was, they followed Messianic Judaism. And so I grew up with all of these different ideas of religion with which I never connected to any of them. I was a liberal, bisexual feminist growing up in Oklahoma and always felt an outsider. And to that end, I cut all ties with religion and just kind of did my own thing for a long time. I then decided I wanted to kind of explore community, and I found a really extensive atheist community in Oklahoma, and they were very welcoming, and that was nice. However, they didn't really have much of a spiritual component. You know, they didn't, it was strictly there's nothing, that's kind of what we're united around. And they also adhered to some kind of really problematic thinking, and that had shocked me, you know, kind of coming into it. I was like, oh, okay, so you have your own issues there too. Interesting. Made some great friends. And that was the kind of the extent of that. And then about 5 years ago, we moved to Michigan for a job. My husband's spiritual path follows along with mine. We're very well. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to try again. I want to try to find maybe there is a place that I might fit into. We didn't have any friends. We didn't have any family moving here. We're kind of on our own. So I started researching progressive churches. And I think, you know, sometimes I'm like, this was the universe, you know, somehow, some way, because 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes from my house, there's Buff. Like I'm on one block over. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this place a shot. And I went, and I just loved it right from the very beginning. I don't even remember the sermon Jim was giving, but I felt very reeled in by it. He's a great speaker. The atmosphere was very comforting. It was a kind, you know, it's a smaller space. It wasn't the big mega churches that I grew up around. The values I aligned with mine, and I felt immediately welcomed. And ever since then, I've really kind of felt like part of the family. I don't participate all the time, but I think that is also a way that Buff supports me, because this is the first place I heard the no is as sacred as the yes, and you can say no. And I just really, I love Buff. So I was reading this little thing that came out in that letter. This community is a safe place. Well, I support Buff because I do feel safe here. I feel safe being my most authentic self. Where we support each other, I feel supported, and I want to give back and support Buff for that. It talks about the sacred task of becoming, and this is a place where I've been able to explore and process spirituality more in that sacred task of becoming, as well as the transcending mystery of life. And I feel like I have been shown the great and transforming power of love at Buff. So yeah, that's why I will be donating and supporting Buff, because Buff has supported me. So thank you guys for being part of my groups, I guess. That's all.
And thank you, Keely, for being a part of us. We'll move now towards our offering, and then we'll do our stories for all ages. So let's do the offering right now, and we can read in unison when the words come up. This fellowship is the community of ourselves. Its resources are our resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it. And thank you all for your generosity. And thank you, Keely and Ellen, for your lovely messages. And now we will have our story for all ages, which has several contributors. We'll begin with Town of Kindness by Aurelia Eberly.
So this is my Town of Kindness. It has clean solar energy. These are the hotels. Well, it's not really hotels, but they're places people can stay. This is a bridge. This is a waterfall. And this is a river. This is the recycling center. This is the sunflower field. This is the baseball field. This is the grocery store with a green roof where they can pick fruits. And then over here is the Panda Health Center. The panda can go inside. And this is the forest. And these are sidewalks. And this is a bald eagle. And this is a bald eagle too. This is my Town of Kindness. And it's what I have so far.
Thank you, Aurelia. That's very lovely. And now Reuben. Reuben, go ahead.
I'm Reuben, and today I'm going
going to tell you my top 10 ways to take care of the earth. Number 10, educate yourself and others to better understand the importance of the earth's resources. Number 9, use long-lasting light bulbs to save energy and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Also, flip off the light switch when you leave a room. Number 8, plant a tree and help to save the environment. Trees store carbon and clean the air, so planting trees will really help to take care of the earth. Number 7, conserve water by turning off water when you aren't using it, taking baths and showers less frequently, and using drip irrigation instead of sprinklers. These things help to make less work in water cleaning. Number 6, choose sustainable and make smart choices while shopping. Number 5, volunteer and help to clean up your community. Number 4, shop wisely by buying less plastic and using reusable shopping bags. Number 3, stop sending chemicals into our waterways and choose non-toxic chemicals. Number 2, drive less to help the climate and instead ride bikes or walk. Number 1, reduce, reuse, and recycle to cut down on trash and save natural resources and landfill space. If we all work together, we can take care of Mother Earth. Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day to you, Reuben. Thank you very much for those very wise words from one so young. And now Adah and Iris.
Hi, this is Adah Lorenz, and this is Iris Lorenz! And today we're going to be performing All Things Bright and Beautiful by Cecil Alexander. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, Mother Earth made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, she made the glowing colors, she made the tiny wings. The purple-headed mountains, the river running by, the sunset in the morning that brightened up the sky. The cold wind in the winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruit in the garden, she made them every one. The tall trees in the greenwood, the meadows where we play, the rushes by the water we gather every day. She gave us eyes to see them and lips that we might tell how great is Mother Earth, who has made all things well. Bye.
And thank you, Adah and Iris, for that lovely poem. And now Lois Sundstrom will read a prayer to our mother based on the Lord's Prayer.
Our Mother, who is in heaven and within us, we call upon your names, your wisdom come, your will be done in all the spaces which you dwell. Give us each day sustenance and perseverance. Remind us of our limits as we give grace to the limits of others. Separate us from the temptation of empire and deliver us into community. For you are the dwelling place within us, the empowerment around us, and the celebration among us, now and forever. Amen.
Amen, Lois. Thank you very much. And now Les and Christina have some music for us.
Mother, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. Looking back in history books, it seems it's nothing new. Please let my mother live. Heaven is for heroes, and hell is full of fools. Stupidity, no will to live, they're breaking God's own rules. Please let my mother live. Father of all creation, I think we're all going wrong. The path they're taking seems to be breaking, and it won't take too long. Children of the future, watching empires fall. Madness, the cup they drink from, self-destruction the toll. I had a vision, I saw the world burn and the seas turned red. The sun had fallen, the final curtain in the land of the dead. Mother, please show the children before it's too late. To fight each other, there is no winning. We must fight all the hate.
Wow, thank you, Les and Christina. That was a whole service in itself. Thank you for sharing that and for being willing to bring your talent to us, sometimes very often. So now it's time for my sermon. Before I begin, I'd just like to say that there are many flavors of Unitarian Universalists. Some of us are pagan, some of us are nature mystics, some of us are atheists and materialists and pantheists, and some of us believe in a personal God. We're really kind of all over the place, but that's part of who we are. We believe that really how you want to be in relationship to the universe is something that you have to decide for yourself. And this is a place where we help people, help all of us, myself included, come to our own understandings. When I was about 13 in a shop class, I fumbled with a handsaw and ruined a piece of wood that was supposed to be part of a toolbox I was building. I exclaimed, "Oh, hell." Mr. Pitter, the shop teacher, who was a very nice man, was persistent with halitosis, called me aside and very seriously and somewhat odoriferously asked me, "What would your mother think if she could have heard you just now?" It turns out that what would your mother think is a pretty good question and can be applied to a lot of issues. We will do that later in this service. If I could be transported back to 1963 in that shop class and seeing the world as I now see it, I might have responded to Mr. Paler by saying something like, that depends on which of my mothers you are talking about. I have 3 mothers. Everyone does. And by way of footnote, speaking of imagining oneself back in middle school, I feel compelled to mention that in the 50s and 60s, our school symbol was a squirrel. Our sports team, some of which I played on, were known as the Fighting Squirrels. This made us very ferocious competitors, able to strike terror in the hearts of teams with lesser mascots like the Leonard, North Dakota Panthers and the Hankinson, Minnesota Pirates. Anyone who's ever been charged by an enraged squirrel knows the terror of which I speak. Back to task. Everyone has 3 mothers. The first mother is a mother that is part of our instinctual package. She is hardwired into you. It makes no difference what your gender is. This mother is a nurturer and fierce protector. Growing up on the farm, I often saw that mother in the animals we raised. My siblings and I were free-range children. We were free to go pretty much any place in the farm except where the mother pigs were caring for their babies. Most cows would let you walk up and pet their newborn calves, but pick up a baby pig and you can be in trouble very quickly. I have not ever been charged by a squirrel, but I have on 2 occasions been charged by a mother hog protecting her young. In the first attack, I managed to scramble over a wooden fence to avoid injury. The 300-pound sow hit the fence board so hard with her snout that she snapped it in 2. When I was 5, I witnessed the instinctual protective mother in my own mother when she waded into the middle of a dogfight that threatened my brothers and me as we sat on the grass outside of the farmhouse kitchen door. I still shiver when I think of how violent my mother could be as she beat at the dogs with a frying pan she had just pulled off the stove. Our second mother is the mother programmed into you by your actual mother. Whereas the instinctual mother is hardwired, the programmed mother is an important part of our software. A lot of how we feel about life until the day of our passing is conditioned into us by how our mother felt about us, how our mother felt about us and herself and themselves. If you are perpetually of a sunny disposition and generally feel optimistic about life, you can probably thank your mom. If your disposition goes the other way, the same is probably the case. Before the pandemic, I was sitting idly in a park near our house. A young mom was pushing her, I would guess to be 4-year-old son, on the swing set. She was attempting to teach the youngster to pump his legs so he could propel himself. She was not having much luck. In frustration, she said, "You are such a loser. You can never learn to do anything right." This is an example of unhelpful parental programming. It is a line of code programmed into the child's psyche that will surface again and again over his lifespan. It will, unless he learns to reparent himself, be with him until the day he dies. What a tremendous burden to bear. How much better if that young mom could have said something like, "Look how hard you are working. You have not quite got the hang of it yet, but I know that you soon will. You are so smart and strong. I think you can do just about anything you set your mind to." The third mom is your actual flesh and blood mother. My mom was born in 1929, the second oldest of 9 children. Her life was work from sun up to past dark, caring for her siblings, cooking for the family, and their several hired men, working in the gardens, feeding the livestock, milking the cows, cleaning the barns, and driving tractors in the fields. She got her driver's license at the age of 11 so she could legally drive grain trucks in town and dump their loads at the grain elevator, something that she had been doing illegally for a year. All my mom knew was work. When she married my dad, she went to work making a home for our family, which involved a lot of work raising and butchering chickens, turkeys, and hogs, setting hundreds of mason jars aside each season full of homemade pickles, tomato juice, string beans, red beets, pumpkin, squash, plum jelly, gooseberry, strawberry, raspberry, and buffalo berry jam, gallons and gallons of sweet corn kernels stripped from the cob, plus mountains of dried apples from her own trees, a 5-gallon ceramic crock full of homemade sauerkraut, and bushels of potatoes in the basement bin. My mom did have one passion. She loved to garden. She loved flowers and raised many rows of gladiolas, poppies, roses, irises, and asters. She had 3 large gardens and 2 small heated greenhouses in which she spent hours and hours starting and nurturing seedlings. She eventually became a master gardener and judged flower shows all over North Dakota and as far west as Washington State. My mom was a person of the earth. I often heard her say, "A little dirt never hurt anyone." On occasion, I would hear her say of her dirt-stained and dirty fingernails, "It looks like I need to bake some bread to get these hands clean." Mom was not kidding. Kneading bread was a very effective way of cleaning her dirty fingernails and softening the skin on her calloused hands. I never have been able to make a loaf of bread as tasty as my mom's. Eventually, Mom had to go into a nursing home. She had been taking care of others for so long, she didn't know any other way of being. So she petitioned the home administrator to let her spend an hour or so a day folding the facility's towels as they came out of the dryer. It was also her habit, 3 times a day, to round up those from her wing of the care facility that had advanced infirmities and lead them down the hall to the cafeteria for their meals. One of the last times I saw my mom alive, she was, like a mother hen, leading her chicks clanking down the hall on her walker while being followed by 4 oldsters in wheelchairs in a caravan of the infirm. My mom, still mothering till the end. My mom was a woman of the earth. I suspect that she knew something that many of us have forgotten, which is that the earth has a language that speaks a way of knowing that transcends the senses and is in direct communion with the human heart. So today I'm going to have an imaginary conversation with my late mother, asking her a question that cannot be answered by science, reason, or applied mathematics, but only by a greater communion. I imagine this conversation taking place as my mom was working in her potting shed, separating seedlings. My mom was not one for idleness. The only time she sat down during her waking hours was when she was doing something like shelling peas, sewing, or doing needlework. So here goes. Me. Mom, do you think we have a future as a species? Will we survive to further evolve, or do you think that this is the end game and we will extinguish ourselves with war, political division, and altered climate? My mother. We will survive. There are seasons in life. This one seems particularly trying, but it will pass and another season will come with its joys and struggles. I don't think the earth is done with us yet. We will make it if we do not forget who we are. Me. Who are we? My mom. We are the earth. We are soil. Black dirt somehow become human. When we forget that we are dirt, we lose track of ourselves and the whole world suffers. Me, what do you mean when you say the whole world suffers? My mom. We do not live only unto ourselves. If I am unhappy, have lost a sense of meaning and a feeling of vitality, it more than affects just me. It affects the whole community, and the community in turn affects the world. The recent mass shootings perpetrated by young white men are a case in point. These unfortunates could not do the evil they do if they had a reason to be and felt the web of life vibrating through them. The web of life binds us to the earth, the cosmos, and each other. Me. Tell me about the web of life, Mom. My mom. The web of life is a connection between all things. It binds together the ant in my garden with faraway galaxies. It binds together a single hydrogen atom on the surface of the sun with a great blue whale swimming in the depths of the Atlantic. It binds together the light and the darkness. It binds together joy and sorrow. It binds together hope and despair. It binds the living and the dead. It binds together the end and the beginning. It binds us to each other and to the earth. Me. So, Mom, you think it is important to believe in the web of life? My mother. I don't give 2 hoots about what you believe. It is what you know in your heart that makes a difference. It is being able to receive from the web compassion, strength, and courage. It is about learning to gather up the manna of creativity and vitality that comes to us through the web. Me, how can I receive from the web? How can I know? My mom. We are back at the beginning of this conversation. We receive from the web when we remember that we are transformed dirt that is bound by the web of life to the stars and to transcending reaches where there are places and things that have not yet been imagined. Some good ways of remembering that you are transformed dirt is baking a loaf of bread. planting a row of carrots, pruning an apple tree, writing a poem, sitting up all night with a sick child, grieving the death of a loved one, sending some money to feed the poor, working in a soup kitchen, going meatless for a day, a week, or a lifetime, learning to play an instrument, dancing a dance you invented when no one is looking, or even when they are, hugging your kid, hugging your dog, changing a diaper, the list goes on. You get the idea. We know the web by getting up to our elbows in life. It doesn't hurt to get a little dirt underneath your fingernails, a little baby spit on your shoulder, or a little cow manure stuck to your boots. Thanks, Mom. I think I get the idea. It has been great having this imaginary conversation with you. And now let us move to our final hymn. We are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
And thank you once again, Buff musicians, for choosing such wonderful music for today. And now Candace Onweller, or rather now Diane Gibbons, will do our Chalice work.
Diane, I'm afraid you're muted.
Sorry, folks. We extinguish this light with hopes that our wisdom and love will sustain Mother Earth for generations to come.
And amen. And now, Candace.